Folks, welcome back into the 7 financial blind spots. Bob, this is a very important one. Number 2, I think this is the most important of all the 7 ones. It's the fact that, well, back in the day, my grandparents worked for a company for 30 or 40 years, maybe 50. They worked hard, then they retired, and the company continued to pay them the salary. It was called a pension. Fast forward, 1980. Congress put in the tax code a provision. It was called the 401k. Everyone knows what it is now, but back then they really didn't know too much about it. But that signaled the end, for the most part, of companies taking the burden of funding your retirement. Now they shifted the burden to you because you're putting money in a 401k. The problem with the 401k is it doesn't have income. It helps you build that lump sum, but no income. So talk about that with everybody out there, how important it is to make sure that you get that money in the right place after you built it up.
Yeah, it's critical. If you look back at, I come from Pittsburgh, and if you look back in Pittsburgh, if you go back to the 40s or 30s, the average person had Social Security and they had a pension. That's the average typical.
And there were hardly any worries because it took care of their retirement.
And there was another thing that came along, and it's not so obvious, but if you think about it, the average age when people passed away was like 70 years old. Well, people are living out to their 90s, and you have a big responsibility to take care of yourself out to age 90. So what had happened was the pensions are down to maybe 7-8% based on teachers and federal workers getting pensions, but more and more it's been the 401k has been adopted because when students graduate college, the typical college student is going to work at 8 different jobs before they retire.
Wow.
So they had to make it portable. But what has happened was 2/3 of your income was taken care of you before you had your pension, your Social Security, and say you only lived to 70. I mean, it wasn't much of a responsibility. Today, we have a huge responsibility. We have the obligation to possibly have 30 years of income that is now done from your 401k. And you get one shot at it. You can't make a mistake. If you think about the 401k, when you look at your 401k, who's in charge of your 401k usually?
Well, the plan administrator, really.
But who makes the decisions? Usually it's
not you.
Yeah,
so it's a company, right?
The company has it, but where I'm going with this is
you decide what kind of option you want to take.
And that could be a good thing, but
here's
that could be a bad thing too.
Well, the reason why I said you're really not in control because they give you 30 different choices and they put you in control of those 30 choices. But little a lot of people realize there's thousands of choices out there, but you only have 30 choices. So you are pseudily, that's a word, you're pseudo in control when you're really not in control.
Well,
think about that.
Absolutely.
But we have a way where you can take that control back.
Absolutely.
Total control.
And that guaranteed income of knowing that you had Social Security and pension always only leaves about 1/3 responsibility of you to worry about it. And depending on how much guaranteed income you want. So we have a way that we can take that 401k and actually make a guaranteed income that you don't have to worry about it. And at the same time, with excess money, we look at growth. But really, with the reduction of pension down to around 8-10%, people living a lot longer, this is one of the most important things we got to shore up. We need to put that foundation under your income that you never have to work.
Yeah, the recipe is clear. You put money into the 401k, so that's the flour in the bread, so to speak, right? And you need a little yeast to have it grow.
That's absolutely.
Hopefully taking the right choices of the mutual funds or whatever options you have in there. But the most important part is to make sure that when you have a chance, and if you're over 59, usually you start having chances, or if you left 401ks behind, you can transfer that money into your very own IRA, have a lot more choices, and more importantly, have that pension your grandparents used to have for yourself.
Yeah, you can buy your own pension.
Buy your own pension. And that takes the worry out of living in retirement, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then the pension, if set up properly, I know you mentioned 30 years in retirement. What if somebody lives 50? They still get the check.
That's it.
You never outlive the check.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that position if the market goes down that you're worried whether you're going to have the money to pay your bills.
Yeah.
We want to put that behind us.
You sure don't want to tie your lifetime of retirement income to the stock markets up and down.
That's right.
That's like riding one of those wild bulls at the rodeo bars and stuff like that. So it's all fine until they turn the volume up a little bit. So let's make sure you get the proper plan, the proper strategy, and make sure that most definitely make sure you get your own pension, your personal pension, which really does take all the worry out of living in retirement. And Bob will do it for you, folks. All you have to do is call the number you see on the screen.